And any way that you can get to sobriety is an absolutely beautiful thing.
There is a new wave of influencers, just like this young man. Some believe they are shepherding Gen Z into healthier habits and a new lifestyle. According to data from the International Wine and Spirits Record, 64% of Gen Zers who can legally drink did not drink alcoholic beverages in the 6 months before May. Joining me now, Adam Clarke. You just heard from him. He's a sober influencer with more than 34,000 followers on TikTok. Great to talk to you, Adam. I know you've had a very personal journey that you've been brave enough to share about addiction. Tell me how this all started, you opening up about your past.
Yeah, absolutely. So to start, I got sober coming up on 6 years ago. It'll be 6 years at the end of this month, God willing. That journey for me started because my experience with drugs and alcohol was really bad. From the first time I got drunk at college into a couple years later, starting on other substances from marijuana to Adderall to cocaine into opiates and then into heroin, my life was an absolute wreck. And so, I got the opportunity to go to inpatient treatment about 6 years ago, where I was exposed to a lot of different therapy, trauma work, and kind of got to come down to the root causes of why I drank and used, gain a lot of bit of information about myself and kind of start to turn my life around. And, from that point, it seemed like if I had all of these negative past experiences and I never did anything positive with them, then it was all worthless. But if I could share a little bit of that with the world and potentially help somebody else not go through the same pain that I did, then it's all a little bit more worth it. So that's kind of how I came to start sharing my story.
Wow. Yeah, it was brave that you did so. You also talk about how you were living a dual life. I mean, one, recognizing that you had a problem and doing something to address it, but then it's quite another to then share that in a public forum like TikTok. What motivated you to do that? And was that a difficult decision to make?
It definitely was a difficult decision. That's one that I went back and forth on for probably a couple years before I decided that I was going to, quote, out myself as a sober or recovering person. And, I did that because I started to feel the same way that I felt when I was in my active addiction. I felt like I had two separate lives that I was living, like I could be open and honest with the recovery community, but I couldn't be open and honest in my personal or my professional life. And it just started to feel gross to me. And so, I came to this decision that I was just going to put it all out there. I was no longer going to hide it. And I felt like the best way to do that was just to post a TikTok kind of talking about my story. And I did that. And the results were pretty impactful. I don't remember the exact number, but the first post went sort of viral and the second one did, and so on and so forth. And I very quickly realized that there is a lot of people out there who resonate with my story. And that's because my story is not unique to me. I'm just one of millions who've been affected by drug and alcohol addiction. But if I can use that to help somebody else, like I said, it's all a little bit more worth it.
And I think that's how we intersected, because I stopped drinking about 5 months ago for a variety of reasons. And I've noticed on my social media, because of the conversations I'm probably having, I came across the Newsweek article that said Gen Zers like myself are doing the same. What have you found as you have come across sober influencers like yourselves as the reason that they have stopped, and the benefits and the challenges that they are facing as they start that journey?
I think a lot of it is certainly just the access to information. Gen Z, millennials, we grew up with social media in a way that previous generations didn't. And that allowed us to be exposed to a whole lot more of ideas. And a lot of that allowed us to be exposed to the harms of alcohol, the harms of substance abuse. In our media and society in general for a long time, alcohol has just been commonplace. It's been what you do. You drink on the weekends, you have a drink with dinner, and nobody talked about the negative effects of that, the negative effects of long-term consistent alcohol consumption. And so I think having access to that information and then the ability to have open dialogue and conversation around it has really kind of sparked this movement where people are realizing, I don't really need booze.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.